welcome to episode 72 of New Meta. We're back for the second part of our neutral items episode that we did in episode 70, I believe, where we talked about the tier 1 and tier 2 neutral items. We're on to tier 3 and tier 4 in the slowest coverage of neutral items, I think, in the Dota content world. Here to slog it out, Marco, welcome to the pod. Welcome to episode 72.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
In life, doing well. In Dota, doing fine. Yep. Pretty good, pretty good.
Nice. You've got life ticked and Dota ticked. There's nothing else.
Dota's got an amber. It's alright.
Dota's got a question mark. And Adam too. Welcome to the pod. Would you give a green light or an amber light to life and Dota?
I'll give a green light to life and a yellow light to Dota because I haven't played in a few days.
Okay. Fair enough. That's probably why your life is a green light.
I wouldn't say that. I could do with some
could do with an injection of Dota.
Yeah.
I will say it's finally seasonally winter here. Feels good. Went from
really?
17. Well, I think I said the last pod it was 17 degrees C for all you Euro boys. Now it's -6 today, so it feels good.
Wow, -6. Jesus. It's weird. The UK is just so... There's no extremes because
stagnant.
It's so coastal, yeah. It's like -6 would be crazy cold for here. But then in the summer, it's like most of mainland America has both higher and colder temperatures at either extreme. Whereas the UK is just sort of sat in the middle all season sort of thing.
And -6 C is 22 degrees in freedom units for everybody that's...
Adam catering to his NA followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess how have games been? Marco, you mentioned Amber, and Adam, you mentioned you haven't really been playing. So I guess, Marco...
Just for the weekend.
Alright, I see. Well, any standout games? Observations over the last week?
Me or Adam?
Either. I mean, I was you, I guess. But, I mean, it really makes no difference to me.
So it's on Amber because I had a bit of a dip on the weekend with a few support games. I was trying out this Vengeful Spirit. It started off really well last week, but then a couple shoddy games on the weekend. But then, interestingly, I had a spree of carry games. And in ranked, I've kind of strayed away from one. In recent times, I've been preferring just a 3 Mars or a 5 Wyvern Disruptor kind of thing. But then I played Classic Rank for the first time, which is one where there's no roles assigned, and just happened to get 3 times in a row. One of them was then unranked. So I've had a nice array of carry heroes: PA, Lifestealer, Slark, Spec. 2 ranked wins with carries felt pretty good. 13-0-10 Slark, pretty tasty. The Ag's pretty good. Lifestealer, a hero that never fails me. So that brought up my support sorrows to make it an amber.
Nice.
Did you win a PA game yet?
I did lose this PA game.
Feels bad.
Bad.
Still no win with the Arcana.
I think I must have 1 or 2 in there. I've got a lot of losses, but I'm sure I got 1 or 2 wins in after the Arcana dropped.
Would you say, a bit of slight tangent, but based on a PA game that I played today, I wasn't the PA, but I had a PA on my team, and we were against an anti-mage. I always feel like that matchup's really good for PA. I really like having a PA versus an anti-mage, because you can blow him really, really quickly with crits.
Yeah, I think you just get a Dezo and go, and anti-mage won't be ready, and anti-mage will struggle to help his team when you've got a PA flying in. I don't mind that matchup. Yeah. If anyone's out there wondering what a great anti-AM matchup is, then it's the Terrorblade. This is really scary to go against because you can't jump into a Terrorblade as an AM. You can't man-fight Terrorblade. He's way too strong with all his illusions and meta. But then he's also this tower muncher, so it's hard to get the game online for an AM before TB's just taking all your base. So that's definitely a strong pick to keep in mind.
Yeah, fair enough. I always think of Meepo just as a mid player, but I come up against that anti-mage as like the ultimate counter. That's one of the grossest ones in the game. But yeah, PA as well, and TB, like you say, is perhaps the best, I suppose, maybe.
My Lifestealer win rate is nearly overtaking my AM. So, I mean, how many games less? It's got half the games, but is one more Lifestealer win would bring its win rate above my anti-mage win rate, which is quite big. Honestly, Lifestealer is such a good hero. It's hard to go wrong.
He's such a strong laner. That's what I love about Lifestealer, is it's so easy to secure his lane. Some carries, you might win the first, say, 2 minutes of the laning stage, but if you leave to try and affect another lane, or maybe to even just like farm some neutral camps or something, or anything, it's like oftentimes carries are so weak that you have to babysit them for like the whole laning stage, whereas a Lifestealer and a Slark can be the same if it's like a melee matchup. You can just sort of leave them by themselves and they'll be absolutely fine to zone out the offlaner 1v1 and just farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, once he has all that feast attack speed, he just slap.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen quite a few Lifestealers in high level pubs on YouTube, and a lot of the time, or even just on the Watchtower, and a lot of the time they just go Maelstrom first item, and with this new feast change with the attack speed, the effective damage you get from Maelstrom is really, really good, because you attack so fast with level 4 feast. And then with loads of PL picks these days, a Lifestealer can man up. You rush Mjolnir, maybe you've got an Armlet as well. You can just mince through all the illusions and you can rage, so you're not getting all your mana gone. Yeah, it's a really good hero.
Nice. You mentioned that you came across some of these carry games in Ranked Classic, which brings us on to the matchmaking update that's worth giving some airtime to. So Valve released basically an update to matchmaking, in which now the addition of Ranked Classic, which is ranked but without roll queue. It's the old ranked, and it's in a separate tab to the roll queue ranked that we've come accustomed to since it was introduced.
But you're saying, having never done it, you queue and you don't select a role, and then you get into the game and it gives you a role?
No.
No. Then what were you talking about, Mark? You just took carry?
Yeah, so
on those games?
Yeah, I got in and no one took safe.
Oh, so it's actually like it's actual classic.
Yeah, it's literally classic, yeah. It's the different pools of players for these two different searches.
Same pool, so if a ranked classic team can come up against a ranked roles team.
That's interesting. I like this change. I don't get the negatives.
But the same MMRs though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
same
you gain MMR the same through both.
So if you choose ranked classic, you're treated as if you're using the higher of your two MMRs, and you get plus 30 to both MMRs with a win, and minus 30 for a loss to both MMRs.
No,
right.
Plus 30. Oh wait, yeah, that's right.
It's when party is 20.
Exactly. Yeah. Party. If you play,
oh my god,
classic ranked in party, it's plus or minus 20 to both. Yeah, so that's basically the change. That's both the changes, right? Changing the MMRs to be a flat number rather than the weird plus 10, minus 40s that you got sometimes in the past, and then also the whole ranked classic thing. In terms of the pools being mixed, I was thinking about this earlier, and it's an interesting one to think of what kind of player plays ranked classic and what kind of player plays ranked roles, because I think a lot of people will play ranked classic that want mid, maybe, or want safe lane, but don't want to queue in ranked roles with all roles selected, so they're just going to play ranked classic forever. And I don't know whether that's good or bad.
You could also
you don't need queue tokens for ranked classic either, right? And you're not earning token fast. Is that even a thing still?
Yeah, you have to earn tokens to even play ranked.
But you don't get them from classic.
No.
So it's a separate entity entirely.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like as a support you should just do ranked roles.
Yeah, that's the thing, but then at the same time in ranked classic you're guaranteed to get you're very likely to get support anyway. Having said that though, interestingly, actually the first ranked classic game I played, no one wanted mid. So I took mids, but then in all of the ranked classic games since, I think 3 of them, I've been left with pos 5 each time, which is fine because that's what I was expecting.
Hypothetically, you could say if you've got a team of ranked classic players versus an equal MMR team, all of ranked roles, you'd expect those sweaters in the ranked roles to be spamming that role they play in and being some kind of pos 4 Snapfire specialist versus a more...
But because of the system now, there will be support players in ranked roles that are core players that just are playing this game to get tokens, and I'm not sure how that
That's
dichotomy
true.
between the two works out effectively. So it's an interesting one. Another thing this is a side note, kind of. The fact that core and support MMR is still split I don't like it anymore because they're not actually split. Because I've played a fair chunk of support ranked recently, a lot more than usual, and I've been doing really, really well. So out of my last 12 support ranks, I'm 10 and 2, which is really good. Obviously, I've lost about 100 support MMR in that time because I've played a lot more. I've played more core. And you lose half as much core as you do support. So even though I'm 10-2 in my last 12 as support, I've lost support MMR because of the tether. You know how they're tethered. So it's really weird. Even though they're separate MMRs, you can't actually just climb on one without the other being effective. So if I really want to boost my support MMR, I have to not play core ranked, basically.
How did you lose MMR and support? So just to clarify, if you ranked role core and win, you get 30, and your support gets 15.
Yes, yeah.
But if you did classic, you'd get 30 to both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it doesn't know what role you played. So, I mean, I lost support MMR, excuse me, from playing either ranked classic or ranked roles as a core and losing core games. So I've been losing core games and winning support games.
But would just wins of support games not be bigger than these losses?
No, because you only have to play twice as many core games as support games for it to even out, and I do play twice as many core games. The other side of the coin is my core MMR would be lower if I didn't win these support games. So that's the upside if you want. I would have an even lower core MMR if I didn't go 10-2 on support. But it's just a bit weird because it's not MMR is supposed to reflect as perfectly as possible your performances in the games. It's just a bit weird when I'm losing a bunch on core and winning a bunch on support, and I have separate MMRs in theory, but they're not actually separate because they're tethered pretty tightly, right? Only 50% less on the other.
And that's assuming you're doing ranked roles. I think it's good to have them tethered. I feel like everyone wins if you want to choose your role, and you can do it, and you'll have this tethered change in MMR, which I think should be the way it is, really. And then likewise for all the people who just want some flexi, they'll do classic, and both MMRs will move the same amount. So whatever.
Would you prefer having two separate MMRs that are tethered than just one MMR?
Well, I think you have two separate MMRs to cater to those geezers that loved using the ranked role search and like a more sweat keyed on one of their own positions.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but the lower MMR just doesn't even mean anything because you get a badge based off. I suppose when you queue, I don't know, it's just weird. It seems like a weird way to do it. At least my experience has been a bit odd because I've been losing. I should be lower on core and higher on support if it was actually following, perfectly. If my MMR was actually reflective of my performances, if you know what I mean. So I've just had that thought over the last week of the fact that it's like a weird half-baked solution, and it might be better overall than having it like it used to be, where you just have one MMR, and it might be better than having two completely separate MMRs that aren't tethered at all. But it's definitely a weird halfway house that definitely has some bizarre side effects like I've had where I've gone 10-2 on support and lost support MMR.
Yeah, I do think it's good to have it tethered, and I feel like you move these more extreme swingy cases of, say you have someone that 10-0 on his core, climbs loads on his core, but then needs to play support to get his tokens, has to like select all roles to get his tokens, get support. His MMR that his core support is at should have been brought up as he was climbing his core MMR.
Yeah, it would be. That's like me. My support MMR
makes sense.
Does it make sense though?
Yeah, because in the other world, say he went on a big winning streak on his core and then climbed his core by like 200 MMR, and then he had to play support, and the game thinks he's like, his support MMR hasn't changed, but really the system should be treating this guy as having gained some just general Dota 2 MMR, really. So that's where the tether value comes in.
Yeah, but the problem I see with it is, me as someone who plays until maybe now, but that's a side thing, but say I'm someone who plays core 90% of the time, or like 85% of the time, which has definitely been me for most of the time I played Dota. Or take Nick, for example, guest Nick, who plays support 90% of the time. His core MMR will always just be a function of how his support games are going, and my support MMR is just a function of how my core games are going, because I play more core games. So it's like, I don't see the point of the occasional support games. There's like nothing to even grind. Even when you go 10-2, it's still just completely dependent on how your core games go. It doesn't actually matter how your support games go, because you don't play enough of them. So,
I mean, it's plus or minus 15. It's still something.
Oh yeah, it's still something. But if they weren't tethered at all, then it would be 2 separate climbs for 2 separate MMRs. Whereas now it's like one, I climb on core MMR or core or support, depending on which one I play the most, and I have 2 MMRs. One's my core MMR and one's just like my core MMR but half. Do you know what I mean? That's how it feels. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I guess it's just preference.
I think it's a good solution to the rank roles, and then I think the fact that if you do classic, you get 30 for both, I think just solves the issue for people that don't want to have to climb one of their MMRs. They can climb both simultaneously by getting 30 in each. I think that solves that pool. So I'm very content with this.
Yep. I mean, I agree with you in that what you said when Rank Classic came out was, you just get plus 30 to both. That's pretty sick. I'll just do Classic then. And that's kind of how I feel now. I'd rather just get plus or minus 30 to both.
Yeah.
So recently I've been queuing Rank Classic since it came out, because at the moment I currently don't have a really strong preference on what role I play, because I feel like in the past my support was a lot worse than it is now relative to my core, whereas now I feel, if anything, my support's better, like at least how it's been on recent games. So I'm happy to just queue Classic, see what role I get.
Yep.
And I don't need to, I just get plus 30 to both, so...
Yeah, and then it's just the sweats that really want to play a position that can go through the ranked role search. And I'm like, for those geezers, I think it's good for them to have that choice, because it's just better quality of life for them. I feel like everyone's kind of winning.
Yeah, for sure. Although the juxtaposition I would pose to you is, I think the sweats that just want to play one position play Ranked Classic, because they don't want to play support, so they won't play ranked roles to get support tokens.
Yeah, I'm less clued up on this token business because I've never faced a problem just doing ranked roles. I actually am really not sure what this token stuff's about. I get the idea. I've just never hit the barrier of, oh shit, no tokens, what do I do? I've not hit that yet.
Yeah. If one thing's for certain after this sort of too long conversation, is that it's a bit complicated, and these changes have made matchmaking potentially better, but a bit more complicated to get your head around, I suppose, with different types of ranked, different MMRs that are tethered in different ways, and party and solos treated differently, and etc.
We didn't even touch on the fact that party games now give you 20 MMR, not 30.
I really like that change.
That makes sense, less weight on party wins and losses. You can't not be happy with that.
It makes sense from a theory perspective, like Val said in the blog, we're better able to assess a player's impact and therefore how much MMR they should win or lose when they're solo. And also, party is inherently feels more casual, kind of. It maybe for some people they only go really try hard in party ranked, but to me I think solo ranked's always been the try hard sweat mode. So it's nice that the MMR gained or loss is slightly reflected in parties being slightly more casual. Yeah, I think we've already said a lot, or, well, me and Marco have already said a lot on this Dota 2 update. So, yeah.
Now we're not going to be able to get the tier 5 items.
Yeah, feels bad. There's also a major going on. I suppose we'll talk about that next week, because not much is going on. Unless anyone's got anything they want to say.
Save it.
Tier 3 items. We have Repair Kit, Craggy Coat, Greater Fairy Fire, Quickening Charm, Spider Legs, Enchanted Quiver, Paladin Sword, Orb of Destruction, Titan Sliver, Telescope, Mindbreaker. Let's do them in the similar order to the Tier 1 and Tier 2, where we just go with kind of the most memey item outwards. I feel like Repair Kit is the most sort of memey item in the Tier 3 list. Oh, by the way, let's do a quick test first. When do these items spawn, people?
25 minutes.
Yeah, 25 minutes. Quite early, I think. Some people say that's early. But
yeah, if you can farm up all 3. I mean, I remember seeing a Weehaw Husker with Craggy Coat, Mindbreaker, and one other Tier 3 item in a pro game. So he's like basically 6 slotted at 25, 26 minutes. It kind of felt gross.
Yeah.
Paladin Sword, I think, was the other one.
Right. Man, Greater Fairy Fire, that's a Husker item. Anyway, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Should we start with Repair Kit then? This item, I'll read this one out and then I'll fade away into the background. But...
Get ready for Stand Salt, Adam. It's going to come.
Right. You've already had the
I've
theory.
had the spiel, yeah.
So, 13 HP regeneration to the holder. And then the active is Building Repair. Targets a building, restoring 40% of its health over 30 seconds. Also grants plus 10 armor and plus 4 multi-shot attack during this period. And the range is 600, which isn't just a throwaway statement. The reason I say that is sometimes it's kind of hard to throw it on your tier 3 without dying if you've got it on a support. Adam, how do you feel about Repair Kit as a tier 3 item?
I like Repair Kit a lot. I feel like it's won me games and saved games.
Yeah.
I think it's a way of clawing out, like stopping a push and turtling. It's so strong at it, especially since it has 3 charges. You can save it one lane, and they have to turn around and they're like, God, we can't push against this. And they come to another lane like 5 minutes later, and it's like, okay, we do this again. It just has a lot of utility.
Do you think it's worth using only on tier 3s? I've had games where people have said don't waste this item on anything other than a tier 3, or is that just nonsense and you should just throw it on whichever tower you're defending?
I can't. I've only ever seen it used on tier 3s, I think. It just seems to kind of line up.
In the major, I saw it used on tier 1 mid, which is remarkable that a tier 1 mid is still alive at 25.
Yeah, that's the high. That's like the most important tower. I would probably throw it on that.
Yeah.
In a pro game, when you are guaranteed to have people TPing in and defing objectives and stuff like that.
I mean, that's a long time for tier 1 to survive. Holy moly.
Yeah. Marco, any thoughts on Repair Kit?
So I like the idea that it makes it harder for the winning team to win. So a lot of the complaints, some of the bad aspects about Dota is like the first Outpost patch where if you're ahead, it's just too easy to win. And it sucks too hard if you're on the losing side. Repair Kit is like the opposite, where if you are losing, this is something that helps you not lose as fast and helps you get back in the game. And I think that is nice because it then credits the winning team, say the team that's ahead, it credits them for playing good Dota. And Dota's a hard game and it shouldn't be easy to just destroy the Ancient. So it's quite cool that now there's a bit more of a barrier to winning. Like you have to play that bit better. Yeah. I like that. It is a weird one. It reminds me of Team Fortress 2, kind of making some mech upgrades or some unit PvE style. It's kind of weird to see in Dota, but I don't mind it. And yeah, it's a bit gimmicky, but I think it's cool.
This 13 HP regen that it has passively, that's like 1800 gold worth of regen based on Ring of Health. It's like over 2 Ring of Health. Is that anything to be said about that?
Well, I think it's quite good, especially if you have regen boosting items. I don't think it's just to throw it away on your.
It's not like support. A drop-in fountain for when we're defending, sort of thing.
Yeah, or just like, okay, a support has a slot. I mean, if you have a Husker, it's insane. Or, I don't know, throw it on a Lone Druid Bear. Or just, I don't know, it's on... If you're a Strength Hero, it's not giving you just 13, especially if you built a Sange. It's really strong.
What I think is one of the strongest parts is that it lasts 30 seconds. To be having 4 plus multi-shot, which is...
Yeah, it's not that 7-second glyph.
No, yeah.
It's 4 times as long.
And a glyph does what? 2 multi-shot? Maybe 3?
No, it's the same amount. I think it's
not... A glyph does not do this many multi-shots.
It hits 3. A glyph hits 3, but the thing with glyph is it also fires faster. This doesn't fire faster.
But this is 4 bonus attacks.
Wait, does a glyph fire faster?
I thought glyph...
I don't think it would make it go.
I thought tier 3 glyph hits 5 targets. But I don't know. It might be 4 now. It got nerfed, I think, down to 4.
Plus 2? Glyph, plus 4?
Plus 3 for a total of 4, I think.
Okay, so it sounds like Repair Kit is plus 4 for a total of 5. Because it says bonus attack targets 4.
And armor.
Then you get armor. It lasts 30 seconds. 4 times as long as a glyph. That is... You have to be real tanky and real ahead to be able to withstand that. Because your creep melt, and then if you are not beefy mofos, you're melting as well.
Yeah, the creep melts, and then it's long enough for backdoor to kick in.
Yeah.
Because backdoor is like 15, and then I've even had it be where you stop a push, and then, the next creep wave comes, and then you have the glyph, so you've effectively stalled for 2 whole waves, and by that time your outside waves have pushed in, and then they have to just leave, and it gives you the map back, which is pretty crazy. To be 20k behind or 15k behind to actually be able to just stop a siege without even using spells.
Yeah. What I would say about Repair Kit, 2 things. The first one is big brain plays on Repair Kit is if you're actually in a defensive situation, obviously we talked about 13 HP regen being good on heroes, but if anyone's got a level 25 courier, glyph the courier and speed boost it to cast this Repair Kit, and you don't have to put yourself in any danger. I've seen supports try to cast Repair Kit on their towers and just being jumped on. Because the range, 600 range, you have to actually get like a bit too close for comfort oftentimes. The other thing I would say is this item is situationally good depending on how strong the enemy team's push is. We talked about 30 seconds being a long duration, but it also means that the actual HP regen that the Repair Kit's giving is not too high. Obviously 10 armor, that is really strong, and that's for the whole time. But I've played games, say, where you've got like a TA with Deso, and you just melt through Repair Kit like quite comfortably. So it kind of depends. Adam said he's won games with it. That's for sure. I could totally see it winning games against teams that have lacking tower damage, because then they literally just are hopeless against a Repair Kit, and you've got 3 charges of you're literally not killing this building for 30 seconds. Sometimes though, like Drow TA, they're just going to melt through Repair Kit. Like, they really don't care.
Yeah, the other thing is maybe you can get them to try and brute force and get a fight that way. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, it doesn't save every time. It's definitely lineup dependent. But sometimes it is so hilarious to watch. Like, I wouldn't even come up with a tower like a Timber Saw with. I think it's been really good against a Timber Saw lineup because he can't push, especially now that he doesn't get 100 damage talent.
Yeah.
A final comment I would add is, like you mentioned, the chick. When you're dead, you can also put the item on the chick and then use it despite not being alive. So
you can put it on Fountain and get whoever's chick is 25 to pick it up.
Yeah, put it on the Fountain or put it in your stash to pick it up. Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind.
Craggy
so
code,
we just
then.
okay. We were just talking about this one because it was a meme.
Yeah,
Repair Kit. I mean, like, we think it's good, right?
Yeah, I actually haven't given my spiel yet. No, I forgot about that. It's only a free spiel. So this is. I actually think Repair Kit will be removed from the game. Because
you're calling it your shot.
Yeah, I'm calling my shot. I think it will be removed from the game because it's gimmicky, and I know Marco said he likes that aspect of it, but I just have a feeling it will go because it's unlike all of the other items in what it does. It doesn't buff heroes, it just makes pushing like even more aids. And I just have a feeling that it will be removed. And that's off the back of watching... I can't remember what context it was. Maybe it was at the minor, but Syndrin was doing some couch thing at the minor or something, and he was saying how he thinks it will be removed, and he said it far more eloquently than me, but basically along the same lines that conceptually it's kind of situationally broken and just a bit... It's not one of the most broken tier 3 items. I don't think anyone would say that. There are stronger ones out there for sure. But I nevertheless think it will just be removed because it just, to me, doesn't fit. It seems like a weird thumb that from Team Fortress, like what Marco was saying. So
I think, it could be potentially too strong. Like you say, in the right context, you could be 20k behind and the enemy team can't get through a repair kit because of their lineup. That situation being a possibility is maybe not wanted.
It's just that it's not even that it's too strong, it's just the fact that you watch a game of Dota, you see towers fall, that's how it works, and then you watch another game of Dota with a repair kit in it, and it's like, what's this weird like one-off bonus that comes in once every 4 games? Towers are just insanely stronger on a 3 charge basis. It's they're like 10 more armor and have multi-shot for 30 seconds. It's like, it changes the game too much, not necessarily making one team super advantage like some of these other items, but it just changes the nature of the way like the lineups function a bit too much, and I don't know, it just seems a bit out there for me, too much like an import custom map from another game sort of thing.
And also, I think it's maybe one of the items which has chance to get 0 value, like because it's this PV, use it on your tower, and like you say, the TA example, or even you just die in a fight and you don't necessarily get any value out of this item, so it is kind of inconsistent in added values. It is either 0 or loads, or sometimes it's going to be kind of moderate good added value, whereas typically these neutral items are all meant to just give consistent moderate added value. So maybe. Okay,
well, what if the repair kit was like the telescope, where instead of scan 50% less cooldown time, what if glyph 50% less cooldown time? Would that be better or worse than repair kit currently?
I think it'd make it weaker, but more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it might be too strong to have glyph on that low of a cooldown.
For what, aggressive or defensive?
But just I think glyph's really strong in general, but probably defensive.
That'd be an interesting one. My instinct would be that it'd be weaker than repair kit, but maybe it would be stronger, because glyph is, you can't nuke through glyph because the towers are invulnerable. It's hard to say. At this rate, though, we're literally just going to get through tier 3 items, so we must move on. Craggy Coat. I think a lot of people have this as one of the best tier 3 neutral items. Adam, do you agree with them when they say this is like god tier 3 item, plus 13 armor at the cost of 35 attack speed?
It's quite good. I think every lineup you can find at least somebody to wear it. Definitely. Usually on a support, because they're not really right-clicking anyways, but sometimes, like the Husker example, he gets a boatload of attack speed, so he actually can just hold a coat. I think this is in the top section of tier 3s. What did we say about repair kit? I don't think it's the worst. I think it's like mid-range. I'm never upset to see it drop. I'll go there, I guess, with repair kit.
I would say it's below average. But
below average?
It's not the worst, but it's below average.
It's average, and I think Craggy Coat's probably a B. If I was going to give it a letter grade, a B tier 3.
What's the corresponding number?
We're not getting into this.
We're not engaged in this conversation.
What's your opinion on Craggy Coat, Marco?
Above average for sure. I think it's top tier. Is it S tier? Not It's definitely tier 1. Is it tier S? Not certain. It is very high up tier 1 though.
Now it's a mixed numbered lettered tier list.
Yeah.
S 1 2 3 4.
Well, everyone knows tier S 1 2 3 4 is the way tiers are spoken about. Anyway, different conversation. Plus 13 armor, yeah, you'll always get someone who gets mad value from it. And really, it's going to be on a pos 3, 4, or 5, and they don't give one about attack speed going down. I mean, you could even get it on a 1 or 2. Like, it is so good.
I've seen it more on heroes that the detriment is actually felt. And originally, when these neutral items came out, it's a bit like Nethershore. It's a bit like you just think, oh, minus 35 attack speed. Well, I'm not going to use it on whatever hero. But I've seen it being used on like core leaners, like mid leaners and stuff. And it's like, yeah, the attack speed is annoying, but the fact that you get 30 armor is just too good or sometimes. But yeah, you're definitely right. I'd say 80%, 90% of the time, maybe it's going to be going on a hero that doesn't want to do any right clicks, obviously.
Yeah, it is so nice to make your pos 4 or 5. I've seen Snapfire's support with a craggy coat, and they've got so much HP already. Armor's decent anyway, and now it's like 25 armor. It's really strong. There's going to be 1 in 100 games where the enemy team's got some crazy magic damage team. Like, it's always going to be massive value.
Yeah, I guess that's craggy coat. It's quite simple, I suppose,
to
talk about, especially relative.
But a lot of gold worth of armor.
Yes, it's better than a plate mail.
Yeah, it's probably like 2k gold worth of armor, somewhere close to that.
Yeah, something like that, I suppose. Here's another item that I actually really like, and that's Greater Fairy Fire. Plus 35 damage, and the active restores 450 health. This is just a fun item, I feel like, and it's a bit like the story of DotA, how fairy fires are suddenly being valued more and more and more. Although, I mean, I wasn't around in the early days of DotA, like TI 1 to 5. I don't know how fairy fires featured there, but certainly while I've been playing the game, I feel like people value fairy fires.
They weren't in the game.
I was going to say, yeah.
When did they get added?
Maybe TI 6, TI, yeah.
Oh, really?
6.86.
Okay.
But it was a big deal when it came out because it gave damage. So there was a time where it was like, oh, I have 4 fairy fires or whatever, as a mid laner or something. I love this one. I think it's slept on, or it's not respected enough. 450 burst heal is really strong, and 35 damage is really strong. And any carry is going to love it. And if they get gone on, it's the difference between them living and dying and getting off spells. And 3 charges is super value too. Yeah,
no, I agree. We talked about Craggy Coat a second ago being about 2k worth of armor. Well, this Greater Fairy Fire gives 35 damage. A Claymore gives 21 and is 1400 gold. So it's like 2k worth of damage at least. And you get the act 3 times. You get to restore 450 health. That's a lot of HP right there. 450, for comparison, a Vitality booster is 250, and obviously that's not an active item, but just that's how much extra health you're gaining. It's like more than a Vitality booster.
It's like 2 mech actives in one on a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah, it's so sick.
I find it is the item, like, people don't click on you and see that you have it, and they blow everything. And then 450 at that stage of the game, that could be like 40% of your health pool, maybe like closer to 30. But it's a sizable bar that jumps up out of nowhere, and they're just like, what? And then then you win the fight. It's a fight turner for sure.
It's like 6 fairy fires. Then at 25 minutes, it's exactly the kind of time where you can find the slot. If there was like an even greater fairy fire that was like a tier 4, you'd be like, maybe it would start to fall off, but I almost feel like the 25-minute drop is almost like the perfect time.
Yeah, this kind of like slots in for a mid, just like replaces the bottle at minute 25 for a bit. Yeah. And gives you like damage and even more health than a bottle would. So definitely. And then it's like what you said, by the time you're out of charges, you've got the tier 4 item or whatever to fill its place. It gets you through the mid game and the fights really well.
Definitely, I really like it. Marco, where's this going on your convoluted tier list?
You cannot describe it as convoluted. It's
He just
tier
did.
1. It's tier 1. That's a tier below S.
Okay.
It's a tier above
Okay.
2. All right, tier 1.
Okay. So the second tier.
The second highest tier.
Okay. But not to be confused with tier 2,
Absolutely not.
which is the second numbered tier, but not
Yeah,
the
'cause-
second tier.
Yeah, this is tier 3 items we're talking about.
Yeah,
And this
which-
is tier 3 item.
Which is the third tier of items, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think keeping the good times rolling with another favoured neutral item of mine, Quickening Charm. +9 HP regen flat, and then reduces the cooldown of all spells and items by 13%. I think on the right hero, this item is, again, like underratedly amazing. 13% CDR. That's going to work wonders on a lot of heroes. Marco, how do you see Quickening Charm, and what kind of heroes and stuff and impact do you think it has in these tier 3 items?
Yeah, 13% cooldown reduction. It doesn't sound that much, and it isn't crazy. So Octarine's 25%, but that's a big, chunky, expensive item. So it is slight, nice value. I think that it works because when you pick up tier 3 items, ideally, say it's in 25 to 30 minutes, you typically, I mean, you might have one big item, but you're definitely not 6 slotted. Say on like a POS 2, 3, 4, 5 that might use this item. So this item to me will always be preferable to one of those components of a big item, and that's where I feel like it can slot in. I don't think it's good 40 minutes later, unless you're like a POS 3, 4, 5. But I think it'd be more your mid that you'd want to find this on, because your mid is typically going to be some spell casting, big impact tempo hero, 13% reduction. Yeah, it does what it says on the tin. I think it works very well for 25 to 35 minutes in the game.
Can you explain how every time I play against a Zeus, he gets a Quickening Charm, a Spell Prism, and an Octarine Core, and then just spam spells forever on no cooldown? Because they stack.
Spell Prism, Quickening Charm, that's a rough one. I'm not sure if I've had that one yet, but I can feel the pain already. For reference, Enigma has 15% cooldown reduction as a 15 talent. Arc Warden has 8% cooldown reduction as a 10 talent, just to sort of put CDR in this 25-minute mark on the map with some of these other things. So this one, it's hard to put a gold value on it. We only really have Octarine Core. But it's giving you almost a 15 talent on Enigma, which is quite strong. Perhaps not as strong as these other ones, because I feel like Greater Fairy Fire is better than a 15 talent.
Yeah, I know. If you're a Lena, if you're a Zeus, if you're a Puck, I mean, this is a great item.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Just casting spells all the time. It doesn't give you mana reduction, but if you've paired it with a Kaya or something, I think it's a strong item. But it can be dead. I mean, it could drop. You don't have anybody that really makes the greatest use of it. So, I guess that is something to consider.
I would be concerned with this item finding its way onto a POS 4 or 5. You then think it's better than Observer Woods or Dust or Smoke. And I'm not kidding. I do think a lot of other items with actives will be way better than the CDR reduction. And I think people could easily put even mangoes, 3 mangoes for your carry better than this item in some circumstance. I know that's contrived, but I don't value this item really highly. I think it can fit in nicely temporarily, but I don't think it's tier 1.
Yeah. Okay, so perhaps you'd put it like middle of the road, maybe maybe.
Yeah.
Would you say? I genuinely am mildly confused by your tiers. So when you say not tier 1, you mean not.
Yeah, not tier 1.
Not S tier, not tier 1.
Yeah, listen to the words I'm saying. Not tier 1.
Okay, and how many tiers are there for you?
There's tier S
then
tier.
1,
then
2,
tier
3,
1.
4.
It's the way that all Dota teams are categorized. Is it a tier 1 team or is it an S tier team? It's not an uncommon way to do rankings.
But how many tiers are there for you? S 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
that's probably about right, because there's 10, 11 tier 3 items.
Yeah,
so probably don't want to go higher than that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is maybe like B tier then. I would say B tier. So that's tier 2 for Marco.
Yeah, tier 2 could be tier 3.
Yeah, it's not the
in the
worst.
lineup.
There's definitely worse out there for this tier, in my opinion. But it's not. Yeah, it's not in the top 2 categories. Just to add another way of splitting them up. Spider legs, 24% movement speed, 30% turn rate. That's something you don't hear often in the Dota item verse. Active Scurry grants you 24% bonus movement speed and free pathing for 3 seconds. Walking over trees causes them to be destroyed. This scurry active is on a 10-second cooldown, so pretty spammable. Phase boots for comparison on an 8-second cooldown, so quite similar. This is another weird one because you can swap it out for a boots if you want to, but the actual spider leg speed is a function of your existing movement speed at 24%. Spider legs is kind of an interesting one. It's almost like a boots replacement. Adam, how do you see spider legs?
I think it's a meme, unless you can really abuse the phase over hills.
Right.
I have had it drop and replace my boots with it, and that's really nice. I mean, you're really fast. Turn rate is good, but it is hard to quantify. It's hard to come up with where the turn rate is really, really good. I think this is the best thing you could ever have if you're a bat rider.
Right. Yeah.
But then otherwise, I don't know.
I think it is probably overvalued because it's fun and a bit memey. I like the idea Adam says of replacing your boots, and later in the game your natural movement speed will get higher as you get more agi. So then, yeah, you can maybe make those spider legs work in replacement. It's active, it's cool, yeah, walking over trees, but yeah,
the tree killing is good, I guess. And sometimes,
yeah,
if you're against a tree and you break up all of his trees and you can find them, or if you kill a tree for the timber saw to go to, or I don't know.
These 1 in a billion cases.
Yeah,
we could get value. To take up a slot though, you'd have to, Bat Ride's a great shout. You'd have to be really, really getting value. I don't think most heroes, feel like 95% of the Dota heroes, it wouldn't be worth your time having this in a slot. Unless you've got no items because you can't hit creep, maybe.
Well, it's I was Avenged and I had brown boots, and then this dropped, and it's well, this is amazing because this is obviously better than brown boots.
Yeah.
Do you replace TP boots for this? I don't know. I don't think I'd replace boots of travel with spider legs.
It could be quite cool on a support, helps them survive more in fights because they're more elusive. That's quite cool, to be honest.
Does this item stack with boots?
So
if you have brown boots and spider legs, do you get 24%? The 24%.
It says movement speed bonuses from multiple pairs of boots do not stack. So it's going to take the highest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the thing is to remember though that this scurry active, a lot of supports at 25, they're going to have a free slot, or a lot. I think particularly POS 4s are going to have a free slot, and you just slap it in. Keep your boots as well. Keep your arcane boots or whatever. And this scurry does make you really, really survivable. You can sit on, literally on cliffs and, kite up and down cliffs during a fight to not get hit. I've had it on a POS 4 Lena, and it just makes me so survivable because I'm able to just use a round of spells, scurry up a cliff or something, out of danger, and then come back down and cast another round. It makes you more survivable.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's definitely not as good of a, say, POS 4 or general support item as some of these other ones. Particularly I'm thinking Telescope or Craggy Coat or something, but the Scurry active can be used in clever ways, for sure. To make you more survivable, in particular. So, I guess we're all agreed on Spider Legs as sort of a below average, similar to Quickening Charm in terms of value. Do we think? A bit below average, but not
I think it's worst. A bit below average. Some heroes it's amazing on. Even Spirit Breaker, movement speed bonus for your damage, and the tree breaking's pretty okay, but I think most of the time you'd rather get something else.
It's a good Skywrath Mage item as well, I think.
Yeah, especially if you don't buy boots.
Yeah, because Skywrath can just come at you from like a super bizarre angle and get that ATOS. It's nice because you can abuse like vision situations. So I've seen a pro game where they put it on an initiator. They know roughly where vision will likely be. And so they'll like use, I'm trying to think of an example on the map. Say that your Dire's top tier 1, there's a large camp that you farm near the outpost. They'll initiate by walking directly up the cliff and attacking that way because heroes have fanned out around that walkway, around the ramp. And so you kind of can completely mess up heroes' positioning by like initiating over a cliff with a weird hero that shouldn't be able to do that. And you can abuse situations like that. And sometimes in high-level games, something as simple as abusing the fact that they've fanned out and positioned as if you're going to walk up a ramp and suddenly you're walking up a cliff means you get that first pick off, that initiation with duel, whatever it is, that, like you said, Batride is a classic example, that lasso. And sometimes that's all you need. So I do think situationally, if you use it in a smart way, it can be really, really sick on the right hero.
Yeah, I'd agree. Situationally can be really strong. I think overall, just consistency's a bit below average.
In most pub games, it's not going to be used in smart ways. It's going to be used just to like buzz around the map and press it like it's phase boots and maybe run over a cliff and destroy some trees sometimes. So I think in pubs, you're not going to get the guaranteed impact that the potential would provide, I suppose. Enchanted Quiver. So this has no passive ability, but it does have, I suppose the active's kind of a passive, right? 8-second cooldown. It provides your next attack with 270 bonus magical damage and true sight. Ranged attack
and 400 range.
Yeah, and 400 range for that one attack. I don't know what you guys think about this one, but for me, this is the worst one in my opinion.
Hey, I was going to say it's the worst one, unless you are. I think this is the potential for the worst drop on for a tier 3 item if your lineup is built a certain way. But if you have a Drow or like a Viper, it's okay.
It's okay on Viper, yeah. It's like It's kind of bad on even on Drow. It's like it's not good. It's quite nice.
It's okay at best.
Yeah,
and absolutely unusable in certain situations.
Definitely. The only heroes it's okay on is heroes with orbs. So Viper, you mentioned Drow. Viper being one, you get that first slow attack. It's like, it's okay. Because it is a super long range, obviously. It's average. Jakiro, like, you get a super long liquid fire. Like, sure.
OD.
Like, OD, you get a first hit with the slow if you want to use Equilibrium. But it's like, it really is so low impact. Like,
270 bonus magical damage isn't a small amount of extra damage. Yeah, it's every 8 seconds, but that's like another Lena Q just added to your auto attack every 8 seconds. I don't think it's terrible.
I think it's okay. I'm thinking if you have a tricore of melee heroes, this is stone unusable. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, you throw it on I guess you throw it on a support, but I do think, I mean, you can spike pretty hard, I guess, if you're an OD.
Yeah, the problem is it has this 270 bonus magic, but the range is so high, the extra range, that it's kind of one or the other. Like, if you're in a situation where you're right-clicking and you're going to be able to right-click and use this 270 damage to kill a hero, then you're going to have to be closer than 400 bonus range away. But if you want to make use of the 400 bonus range, then the 270 bonus magic doesn't mean a lot because 9 times out of 10 you're so far away. You're not going to have follow-up anyway, and this can run away.
Yeah, I think it's average. I think on, like you say, Dro, it's fine because they're consistently right-clicking and the range. I honestly think on a POS 5 ranged hero, every 8 seconds, it's like throwing another spell. They attack from 1,000 range away to do 270. That's kind of fine. It's not amazing because it's not going to win you a game. When it's just average in my opinion.
I think the 400 range almost kind of messes up sometimes. Like, messes up your positioning.
It can
like,
be.
I'm hitting, and then you're like, that was from this extra 400. You think you have a ballista for a second. It's kind of weird also with sieging. You hit from 400 away and then you got to move forward.
It's definitely weird with positioning in fights because sometimes I've had it on an OD where it's exactly like you just said. We're doing a gank, coordinating a gank or something, and it's like we calculate wrong based on the first right click being from so far away. You have to move in like a bunch of paces further, and it's just like you have to almost not right click with the enchanted quiver to make sure you're in a position to follow up. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people consider this to be the weakest item at this point.
So tier 3?
Yeah, it's got to be the tier 3, tier C, whatever you want to call it. Paladin Sword, 17 damage, 17% lifesteal, and amplifies the wearer's regeneration and healing and lifesteal by 17%. How do we like Paladin Sword? This is a weird one for me. This is like a forgettable one.
Oh, I think this one's great. I think it's a carry item. Just slide it in. Just like, oh, look, their PA all of a sudden has a Paladin Sword and a Mindbreaker. It's like 5k extra worth of damage items and stuff just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. I just always forget that it's in the game. Marco, how do you value this 17 damage, 17% lifesteal, and the greater healing passive, like as a carry item? I suppose it must be with the lifesteal. Has to go to a right clicker, really.
Yeah, right clicker. I really like it on pos 3. I think it's average for a carry, but I think on say a 3 like LC comes to mind with he has a lot of heal from his W and passive. And LC loves this. What could other pos 3s have it? Probably just they have a lot of HP regen from items and strength, so just really strong synergy. So I think it is slightly above average for a strength 3. For the 1, I think it's nice, but not. I think it's just average for a 1. Maybe if it's a strength 1 like Lifestealer, it would make it above average.
Yeah, so a bit of comparison. So this gives 17% lifesteal. Vampire Fangs, if you cast your mind back to the tier 2 episode, that gives 15% lifesteal. So very similar lifesteal there.
But you get damage.
You get 17 damage, which, for reference, is a broadsword, basically. Broadsword is 18. But then it also has this amplifies the wearer's regeneration and healing and lifesteal by 17. I'm a bit confused by that.
Well, instead of 17% lifesteal, it's actually 20% lifesteal because you get 17 amp on your 17. That?
That sounds right to me. That sounds like the way it should be if they've mentioned it twice.
That's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. I would imagine I'd imagine all lifesteal, including what Paladin Sword gives, is amplified. So, yeah, I don't know. For comparison, Sanj's lifesteal bonus is 24%, so it's a little less than Sanj.
It gives a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's nice. Like. It does remind me a bit of like a bit better Vampire Fangs, but a bit toned down lifesteal and now giving a bit of damage.
It just, for me, it's like, PA used to build Vlad's, but this is kind of Vlad's, and you don't actually have to build it. You know what I mean?
Can be. Home stretch of tier 3 items. I think we've got some good ones here. Start with Orb of Destruction. So, armor reduction. So, it's in a weird order. I hate how these are ordered. It's got the stuff below that should be above. But impeding corruption. Attacks reduce the target's armor and movement speed. Slow amount varies based on whether the wearer is melee or ranged. So, an armor reduction of 5. A slow to melee heroes of 30%, a slow to ranged heroes of 15%, and a 4-second duration. So this is almost... I always think of Blightstone because it looks like a stone in the picture, and it does a similar-ish kind of thing, this armor corruption, like a Desolator, like a Blightstone. I think this is... If you get it on like Deso heroes, kind of can be insane.
Yeah, I think this is... So it's actually just in between an orb or a Blightstone and a Deso, kind of, right?
Yeah.
5, -2, -5, minus... I guess it's 7, yeah. So I think this is... let me look. I think it's S tier. I love this item. and it's great for sieging. And like you say, if you double up on a Deso, like if you throw this on a TA and you have like a Venge on your team, oh my. Solar Crest. It's just like adds, it's just more minus armor for the minus armor strat. You siege really well. And this is that's 30%. It's like a Scotty slow. It's a lot of slow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Deso in between Blightstone and Deso, and it's got a 30% slow to melee heroes. Like, pretty insane. You can pick this up.
It's 30 if you're melee and you're holding it. I think that's what it means, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so it slows you?
Well, no,
it slows the person you're attacking.
If you're a life stealer, you're slowing whoever you hit by 30, but if you're a drow, you're slowing by 15.
Okay, so it's not based on whether the hero you're hitting is...
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
It's based on the holder. So
Right, yeah.
But 15 slow from like a range hero, that's top tier. I mean, that's high.
I've seen this on PA, like, any Deso hero can pick this up and it just makes them that much more bursty. You were saying, Marcos?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not blown away by it. I think it's good, but I'm not blown away. I don't know. I don't really know why. A 5 armor reduction is quite good. I'm very unimpressed by the slow. I don't care that it adds slow. Like, Ascardi's slow is nice, but Ascardi's nice because it's burst stats. The slow component I don't think is ever really that useful. 25 to 35 minutes in the game, slowing enemy heroes is really not that much value added in my eyes. And 5 armor reduction is quite cool, but I'm like, maybe throw it on a spur slot of a 3 or 4. But I don't know if there's a chance I'm undervaluing it because I don't appreciate it and not used it enough in games, but I don't feel really psyched if I'm playing 1 and this drops.
I think with a TA, this just you one-shot supports from build.
Yeah, it does sound quite nice with that minus armor synergy on a TA hero.
Yeah, just
and then you just hero, this Roche killer item.
It's nice for Roche.
Yeah. So I think TA, absolutely one hit of support. But if I'm thinking of playing a carry, it makes your offensive damage a bit more on that target you're hitting. But I don't think its value will often justify being in one of your slots, because I think other items like utility items or defensive or items that enable you to get stuff done will be more value than this. Oh, I've got -5 armor on this unit I'm hitting a million times.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can completely overlook the slow. Like, there's any hero where Deso or a slow is like mildly good. This item's going to be sick value. Like, you pick it up on like a Slark. That's slow, great. Armor reduction, great. Like, PA, both fine. TA, obviously, we mentioned, is kind of an obvious one. There are certainly carries that don't really care, like ones that don't do a lot of physical, like maybe a Spectre or something. Even like a PL, it's good, but it's not that good. A hero like Ursa, another big carry of the patch, excellent. Drow Ranger, like, excellent.
I think a lot of them don't really need it. I think it is nice for some of them. I think, again, it maybe fits in 25 to 35 minutes, okay, because you can afford the slot, but I don't see it as crazy good. Not like a Craggy that you're going to work all game, say. Even a Paladin.
I think it's better than Paladin Sword.
I think a Paladin 3 could be justified until like post 35, but Paladin on the 1, I'd see similar. Get rid of it after 35. Yeah, the armor reduction is a nice synergy, good for objectives. But then I'm like, just put it on anyone that's not the 1 or 2 that has a free slot.
Titan Sliver. I feel like this one drops all the time in my games. This is my most seen tier 3 item. I don't know if that's borne out by the stats, but I just feel like I see this one all the time. 16 clubs, so 16% base attack damage bonus, 16% magic resistance, and 16% status resistance. It used to be 22%, so that's pretty crazy. I really like this item. I feel like this is a POS 1 item often. There are some POS 1s that it's really sick on. I think PL is a hero that dominates the meta at the moment, that I love slapping this on PL for the status resistance, magic resistance. But you can really pop it on any hero. One comes to mind the most because they're both tanky, i.e. benefiting from status resistance and magic resistance, and also physical damage, where the base attack comes in. Well, often your 3 is only tanky, doesn't really do right clicks, and your mid is only doing right clicks, maybe doesn't necessarily want to be engaged on, in which case the status resistance and magic resist isn't that big. So I do think this item is finding its way onto the position 1 most of the time, in the best case scenario. I don't know how you guys see it and how you rate it as well.
I think it is very good. I think it's great on agi heroes because base attack damage. I mean, it's great on strength heroes too, but you throw this on a drow, throw this on a OD, throw it on a lifestealer, I think it just goes on your 1. If they even on a morphling, this is probably a morphling item.
Yeah, on morph it's gonna be
it's insane.
Slap it on a Terrorblade or something, like it's gonna be good.
Yeah, someone that's got a ton of stat gain, this is what it's built for. And then it's just a nice little bit of everything. It's like a hood mixed with a Sange, mini hood, mini Sange, and then I don't know, a base attack. It's like a mini Yasha. It's way better than the Yasha, but I don't know.
I prefer this to, say, an Orb of Destruction, if we're thinking put it on a carry, because I like the fact it's got this defensive utility, and it's nice balance of offensive and defensive.
Yeah, and to expand that point, what I was thinking is the magic resist and the status resist, especially for a position 1 hero, these are things that are hard to come by with the natural item progression of a carry. Is going to be buying damage items, whatever, your Manta style, your diffusal blades of the world, even your BKBs, and they don't naturally come in with magic resist and status resist, whereas this item gives you that, and those things are really, really valuable. That's why you see carries by Satanic all the time, because it's worth spending 5,300 gold just basically to pick up status resist. Like, it's only 25 damage, you're spending that much gold on it, and you're seeing Satanics on all sorts of agi heroes that, and that just goes to show how sick the status resist is. So yeah, I think it fits in really nice, and it covers a lot of the holes in carries item progressions when they're just building like these damage items and stuff. So that's another reason why I rate Titan Slither highly. I always say Titan Silver.
Yeah.
Telescope then. Passive. Prescient Aura. Lowers scan cooldown by 50%. That's a bit of a meme. Increases attack and cast range of allies in a 1200 unit radius. And the Aura bonus attack range is 150. The Aura bonus cast range is 125. For comparison, Dragon Lance, if I can find it here. Where are you? So Dragon Lance increases your attack range 140. So it's more than a Dragon Lance in an aura. So a 1200 unit around you have a slightly better Dragon Lance in terms of their attack range. And Aether Lens, where's that one hiding out? Aether Lens
should be 250.
Yeah, you're right, 250.
So it's a half.
Yeah. Half an Aether Lens and a Dragon Lance in terms of bonus range to all heroes around you in an AoE, as well as the scan. Marco, you're a big fan of Aether Lens, I know, the active and stuff. Does that translate into how you rate Telescope?
The passive of Aether Lens given cast range.
Oh, I just mean you're a fan of extra cast range. I mean, everyone is to an extent.
Yeah.
But
I think if you've got a ranged core, this is really good. Even if you didn't have a ranged core, just to have you and your other support, maybe your pos 3 casting that bit far away, it's decent value. The scan probably not utilized by most people. I think I like it because I feel like you'll get consistent value from it, because 1.2k radius, pretty much always going to be hitting everyone in a fight. So you can always know you're getting value from it. Yeah, I think it's average.
I think it's quite good. And I think it's like the best Venge item.
Yeah.
Put this on a Avenge, and then you're in an aura around a Drow or a other ranged hero, and you're just kind of feeding off of one another, and then you have a longer swap, longer cast range on everything. I just feel like you want this aura in your team.
Yeah, it's a sick aura. And also, if you have a ranged core that already has a Dragon Lance, it starts to get stupid. I've seen clips of, a Dragon Lance plus Telescope, plus Grove Bow on like a Drow or a Viper, and it's just obscene how far away these heroes can attack with. Because the attack range bonus is relatively the strongest part of the item in the sense that it's akin to a Dragon Lance, where it's only half an Aether Lens. So that can get really kind of out of hand, especially when combined with the Grove Bow. But, like Marco said, even when you have melee cores, melee damage dealers, it's still really sick to have this aura for spellcasters on the back. It really is underrated how good cast range is in Dota in terms of getting that second round off, extra mobility, staying safe, etc., etc., etc. All the reasons Aether Lens are good. Telescope is half as good just for that aspect alone. And then you give bonus attack range too. Final tier 3 item, Mindbreaker. Magic attack bonus damage 25, which I suppose means you have 25 damage, bonus damage with all of your right clicks. Yes?
Yes.
And
yeah.
25 attack speed. For comparison, Gloves of Haste is 20, so a bit better than Gloves of Haste attack speed. Plus you get that extra magic damage, but passive Silent Strike, the next attack silences the enemy for 2 seconds, and that's on a 20-second cooldown. Mindbreaker, where does this one sit? What do you think about this one, Adam?
So when this silenced, so first off, it started as a mana break, an extra diffusal, and then it changed it to the silence, and it was a 4-second silence, and it was so amazing when it was a 4-second. And now that it's a 2, I feel like it's kind of mediocre. There are some times when you're a ranged hero and you get a silence off on the right target, like the big target on the other team, and you just blow them up and they don't get to cast their big spell, and it wins you the fight. But 2 seconds is such a narrow window for this to work. There have been times where I've been chasing someone in the trees and they have auto attack on, and I was trying to stun them, and they auto attack me, and I get silenced, and I couldn't get them. So that was kind of an interesting interaction. But I just feel like it's just okay now. I think it was broken before, and now I think it's meh.
Yeah.
I did not realize this gave 25 attack speed, 25 attack damage. Holy moly.
Yes, because it's written under the passive. It's so stupid.
Wow, this is really shot up in my estimations. I think this is really good then. If you're a POS 1. Wow, this seems sick. Those
okay,
stats,
as a damage item, it's good. As a active, it's meh.
But then you combine it into a really strong, consistently good tier 3. This is
It's a sick OD item. I really like it on OD because a lot of heroes that have mobility and have spells that are really annoying for an OD. 2 seconds is often all you need to get 4 clicks in, and that's all you need on OD. So any hero any hero that won't build an Orchid but would love to have silence is going to be sick on. Like you say, a lot of carries. You think then, you say a carry item, you think then where does it fit versus, say, a Titan Slither, a Paladin Sword, Orb of Destruction?
I would
carries eventually.
I think you stack them.
Maybe stack, but
I think at 25 minutes, I think Marco might think people have too many items. I think you can fit 2 or 3 in pretty easily at 25 minutes.
Yeah,
neutral items.
But you're saying you'd rather have a Mindbreaker than
I definitely would.
Any of those 3.
I definitely would. I think as a carry, it's so good because you are often the first person to be initiating on an enemy hero, and then it's that 2-second silence will help you get the kill or start a fight. And I know, maybe that next time you get the silent strike is a bit unpredictable, but even in these unpredictable moments, because you're always going to be right clicking as a pos one, you often will just get casual value from that silence when you're trying to kill that last enemy hero. But then the stats, absolutely brilliant for the pos one, and mainly you initiate your first hit. That first engagement that you start on an enemy hero goes so much better, so much safer. I really, really like it.
Interesting. I think the attack damage is nice farm speed wise. Not the attack damage, sorry. The attack speed is nice farm speed wise. You think of a Gloves of Haste. That's going to be noticed farm wise after a while. And I know it's 25 minutes into the game, but still it's worth saying a lot of these other items don't really help you farm that much. Though I wonder what the comparison would be to, say, 16 base attack damage versus 25 attack speed. You'd have thought the attack speed would be more impactful. So that element of this item is nice. I don't know where I stand on whether I'd rather have this item or, say, a Titan Sliver or an Orb of Destruction. I think it's hero dependent, because I think like a PL, Phantom Lancer, I'd love to have Titan Sliver the most. Say a PA, I'd probably like to have Orb of Destruction the most, and then
PA? No way. You throw this item out, your PA is jumping heroes all the time before a fight's happened, and that just means his jump is so much safer and more powerful because he jumps some hero that then can't respond with spells. Same with AM, same with Slark. Honestly, even PL could just fly in at a hero, but probably the Titan's a bit better. So often cores in this mid to late game period are going to be jumping enemies. And when you jump and kick off that jump with 2 seconds of silence, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's a 20-second cooldown, though. It's like you get off one in a fight, whereas like Orb of Destruction is going to be helping you kill like everyone. All fight, you know what I mean? It's like really after that initial jump, it's like you're dealing with an extra 25 attack speed, which is like worse than a Gloves of Haste. So unless you're getting sick value from the silent strike for 2 seconds, which I think is maybe sometimes you will, but sometimes you won't. And then suddenly it's like, wow, this item's kind of underwhelming now. 25 attack, like a 25 magic bonus is basically nothing. And then 25 attack speed is like kind of super average. So it's like, if this silence isn't doing work for you, then it's not a good item anymore. 20-second cooldown is quite long. So I think it depends on the kind of fights you're taking. Maybe sometimes it's good, but from my experience, I do think the active is deceptively bad. It's a bit like the Hex that we don't have time for, but this on Prince's Knife, it's kind of like it seems insane, 1.5 second Hex or 2 second silence. But in reality, it's actually not S tier. The active's like not some S tier active. It's actually kind of an average active. Yeah. That's tier 3 items.
I cannot believe tier 3 took a slot.
Yeah, tier 3 took an hour and 10, literally. Well, I mean, we did to be fair, we spent 20 minutes talking about matchmaking changes. Well, me and Marco did.
Yeah.
That's tier 3. So the bad news is it took us an hour to get through whatever this is. How many items is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 items took us an hour. The good news is the listeners get to listen to us do it all over again twice with tier 4 and tier 5. So, yeah, that's the silver lining, I suppose. Before we go, though, one final thing. Pick out your best item and your worst item in tier 3. Narco. What are your picks, best and worst? In a vacuum.
In a vacuum?
Well, I mean, okay, you can interpret it how you like. You can say in 50% of games this is the best, but however you want to.
I'm gonna say best Mindbreaker, worst Spider Legs.
Okay.
Actually, Spider Legs or Enchanted Quiver.
And I'm gonna go with best as Titan Sliver or Greater Fairy Fire, and worst being Enchanted Quiver.
Okay. Yeah, and I would say Enchanted Quiver's my worst, and then best I'd say Titan Sliver or Telescope. I'll say Telescope to keep it funky, because then we've all chose different best items. But yeah, there you have it. And inevitably, Reddit or the Dota 2 hive mind will decide that actually Craggy Coat or actually Quickening Charm is definitely the absolute best item, and there's no discussion. So maybe we've alienated half our listenership there, but there you are. Join us again next week, where we'll spend another hour meandering through something that should take 10 minutes. But I don't know what the topic will be. Maybe we'll spread out these neutral items. We'll do an episode, an on-off rota to get us through all these neutral items. I don't know. The major will be over next week, of course, so we'd probably spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes discussing that. Then maybe some heroes. We love discussing heroes in the meta. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed Tier 3 neutrals, and see you again next week.